Obviously, I'm not good at time management or multitasking. Can anyone help me? Please? Aloha friends, and happy Victober. Now I don't know if any of these things are Victorian. Please let me know. I don't know when the fascinators were brought out, but I'm thinking it wasn't Victorian age. And as for a fan, it seems to be, I remember a book called The Lady Whitmore's Fan or something in the Victorian age. Let me know down below. Anyway, this is my mid-October check-in with you guys. And boy, what a month it's been so far. For Victober, sorry to say, I've only read one book. But what a book it was. Agnes Grey by Anne Bronte. I love this book so much that I'm going to do a review in another video. But suffice to say, this was a wonderful reading experience. I had never read Anne Bronte before, and I haven't read Victorian books for quite a while. So what a pleasure to get into the Victorian age with Anne Bronte. It's also written as a letter, as a memoir, which I really appreciated because it really fit the way that the book laid out. And all I can say right now is that at the end of the book, I had tingles all over, goosies all over. So I will get into this a bit more. But I'm still waiting for my other book, which is Oscar Wilde, The Picture of Dorian Gray. Hasn't come from the library yet. So I'm hoping to have that in my wrap-up. First, I wanted to go through the stuff that I haven't got to yet. I was part of the Latinx-a-thon, and the Poet X, which is a young adult book. I didn't know at first it was a young adult book. It says that if you like Jacqueline Woodson, you're going to like this book. And I love Jacqueline Woodson. And she writes both young adult and adult. And she writes in a very lyrical way, which I really appreciate. And in the Poet X, I took out of the library the CD because I wanted to hear the spoken word. As a lover of spoken word poetry, I've done a few, I've went to a few of these events myself, and I've participated in one or two. And I really, really love the way that young people now are getting into spoken word and poetry and in the way that's relevant for them. Okay, I also haven't read the plays of Josephina Niggli, but this one is not my fault because this is a book that you read little by little. It's a compilation of all of her plays, her poetry, her life, her letters, and I've read a few plays so far, and I really like her poetry. But I will, during my wrap-up, I will get more into that. Then I got distracted with The 13th Tale by Diane Setterfield, which is very much buzzing on BookTube. And I read just half of the first chapter, and I just wanted to continue so much, but I knew that I had so many other books to read. What to do? Okay. Then, at the same time exactly, I was getting through The Daughter of Time, a book that I owned for ages, and I thought that I had read this already. And I'm reading, and I'm reading, and I'm reading. I'm saying, I don't remember this. And that's not like me not to remember. It was also a slog to get through, which kind of surprised me because I love Josephine Tey. So I'm like almost at the end, and I'm still struggling with it. But maybe it's because I have so many other books to read, and that's where time management comes in, which I'm not good. Then on another booktuber, I think it's Lianne's books or Literations with Lianne. She was talking about, I'll have the correct name below in the description box. I just know her name is Lianne, and she's funny and makes me laugh. And she has good book suggestions as well. Okay, so this is called the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. I should put my glasses on because that's a mouthful, if anybody would say that. Okay. Yeah, so it's the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society by Marianne Schaefer and Ann Barrows. And I read a few chapters, and I also have it on, CD, audio. And I wanted to read it together, but I was so excited when I was reading it because I wanted to continue with the book. But I have to be patient. So I'm really excited about this book. So far, it's about an author who is not satisfied with her writing career as it's going. And so far, she receives a letter from an island off of Scotland, and it goes on from there. And I will have a more complete review on my wrap-up. But so far, I'm loving it, just loving it. I had taken this book out of the library, Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence, and I thought I would return it to the library because I had too many books to read and I read it already. But I started reading it last night, and it brought back such a flood of memories. Now, this is not the Victorian period. This book was written, I think it was 1912, and that's what's so wonderful about it, to think that a writer could have the same kind of experiences more than 100 years ago that really touched me in such a way that it reminded me of growing up in Brooklyn in the 50s, believe it or not, but just a different, very different time and culture. But I wanted to read why I really love this book, just a little taste of it, because it really made me laugh, and it just gave an idea of how talented D.H. Lawrence really was with words. And this book, as I said I think I said it in my TBR, is about Paul Morell and how he grows up. His father is a crude miner, which the part that I'm going to read to you is about. He drinks a lot. He goes down in the mines and feels that he deserves to drink a lot and hang around with his friends. Doesn't that sound familiar? To me it does. Anyway, this is a part where he's been carousing all night, and his wife is pregnant, or she's in confinement, as they used to call it, and she's not happy. She's a very learned woman, and she found out her husband was not what she thought, which is also very pertinent to today, when a woman gets married and finds out that her husband is not what she thought he was. Well, he comes home, it's already midnight. He went out at early in the morning and has been carousing ever since. And she's mad, she's angry. In this scene I'm going to read, Mr. Morell was away since 12 noon or even earlier, hanging around with his friends, carousing, and he comes home. He knows he's done wrong, so he kicks the gate when he comes in and breaks the latch, and I'll start from there. "Good gracious," she cried, coming home in his drunkenness. "Coming home in my what?" he snarled, his hat over his eye. Suddenly her blood rose in a jet. "Say you're not drunk," she flashed. She had put down her saucepan and was stirring the sugar into the beer. He dropped his two hands heavily on the table and thrust his face forward at her. "Say you're not drunk?" he repeated. Why, nobody but a nasty little bitch like you 'ud have such a thought. Well, you've been boozing all day, so if you're not drunk by 11 o'clock at night, she replied, continuing to stir. I've not been boozing all day. I've not been boozing all day. It's where you made your mistake, he said, snarling. It looks as if I made a mistake, she replied. Does it? Does it? Oh, indeed, oh. Goes out at 9 in the morning, comes rolling home at midnight. Besides, we know well enough what you do when you go out with your beautiful Jerry. Your beautiful Jerry? What? What? You're talking about, woman? What? He thrust his face forward at her. There's money to bezzle with if there's money for nothing else. I've not spent a 2-shilling bit this day, he said. You don't get drunk as a lord on nothing, she replied, and, she cried, flashing into sudden fury, if you've been sponging on your beloved Jerry, why, let him look after his children, for they need it. Let him look after his children? Why, what children's better looked after than his'em? I should like to know. My sirs, not yours, if you had the looking after to do. A man that can afford to swill his belly from morn till night? It's a lie! It's a lie, he cried, breaking into rage and banging the table. Can't afford to keep his children, she continued. What's it got to do with you? He shouted. Got to do with me? Why, it's a good deal. Gives me a miserable 25 shillings to do everything with and goes jaunting off for the day, coming home at midnight. It's a lie, woman, it's a lie. And thinks I'm going to go on scraping and peddling and contriving while he guzzles and swills and jaunts to Nottingham carousing? It's a lie! It's a lie! Shut your face, woman! They were now at a battle pitch. Each forgot everything save the hatred of the other and the battle between them. She was fiery and furious as he. They went on till he called her a liar. No, she cried, starting to scarce able to breathe. Don't call me that, you, the most despicable liar that ever walked in shoe leather. She forced the last words out of suffocated lungs. You're a liar, he yelled, banging the table with his fist. You're a liar, you're a liar. She stiffened herself with clenched fists. I'd smite you down, you cowardly beast. If only I could, she said in a low, quivering tone. Then, in the next wave, came out her passionate loathing of him. He raged at her and banged the table till the house rang, while she poured over him all her contempt and hate at him. The house is filthy with you, she cried. Then get out, it's mine. Get out of it, he shouted. It's me as brings the money home, not thee. It's my house and not thine. Then get out on, get out on. Okay, I'll stop here. But this made me so happy. And it's so funny because it shows you that people don't change. You can go 100 years and a man and a woman's fight, or two women or two men, especially if they're married, it's going to go like this sometimes. So I hope you enjoyed my mid-month of October so far read, and tell me what you think down below. Do you want to read Sons and Lovers? I like that the woman is shown, which I was told is his mother. In fact, all these words he probably heard as a child, which kind of shows you that we should be careful when we fight in front of our children because they pick things up. And would you like to read more of this? I know I would. I really enjoyed this section. This is all I've got so far, but this fight was gold to me. Sad, but it's gold. And please tell me what you think down below. Have you done better than me for Victober? Well, October is not over yet, and I hope to continue at least with one other Victorian novel, because I enjoyed the one I read so far, but I'm still going to continue all the books here, and I'm so excited for Nonfiction November. I love nonfiction, and I have such a pile of books. I'm going to be contributing to Nonfiction November, and I hope you join me there too. So please like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until we meet again, my friends, aloha from Hawaii.